welcome to the Fantasy Think. I'm Jared, and it is time for my January 2025 update, monthly update, going over everything I read in December, what I'm reading now, and what's on the docket, so to speak. So for the month of December, early in December, we had a small tragedy here. Our good cat Tulip passed away, so we have a gravestone out there, and goodbye Tulip. We loved her, and so we are now moving ahead, and I will go over what I finished in December. So, first thing I finished in December was A Lion's Pride by P.L. Stewart. This is book 4 in the Drowned Kingdom saga, and I am really having fun with this epic fantasy. That means I'm all caught up right now. So I will be eagerly awaiting the 5th book, which I think is going to come out in April of this new year. And so that's Alliance Pride was great. It continued the story of our favorite protagonist, Authren, who we like to dislike, you know. But we like him too. So it's complicated. Yeah, complicated relationship with Authren. Great book though. Great series. So get on in on P.L. Stewart's The Drowned Kingdom saga while you still can, while it's fresh and it's coming out. He's pretty good at putting out one book a year so far. So hopefully that continues. And what else did I finish in December? I also finished Stephen Erickson's The Devil Delivered and Other Tales. Finished off the last novella in this fine collection here, and I've had a discussion on each of the stories in this book with my friend Vasha from Reading by the Rainy Mountain, and this was fantastic. It made my top 10 of the year, and I have no qualms about that. It's if you like Erickson's Malazan work, you will like his writing in here as well. And he does some stuff that's quite different from Malazan, and it really, the effort really shows through. And enjoyed the hell out of those novels, and I was glad to finish that off. And those novellas were part of my short fiction side hustle series on my channel, so check those out. All right, I also managed to finish off. As part of the Sci-Fi Masterworks read-along, I finished off The Drowned World by J.G. Ballard, and I had this was an interesting read. It was okay. It was the setting was fantastic. The description of the setting was fantastic. The characters are flat, but it's about the idea with these sci-fi masterworks from the '60s, and so that is what we got, and it was it was pretty cool. It was okay. I'm glad I read this. A worthy entry into the Masterworks series. I also finished off what I consider a masterpiece, Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This was part of the our Speculative Speculation podcast. Check that out. And this is really great vision of her vision of the future, which started in 2024, oddly enough. And so eerily prescient in some cases, but really powerful and profound. And it's done in a journal type format, where the main character is writing in a journal, and that's how you're getting the story. So fantastic stuff. All right, what else did I finish off in December? I also finished off Conan, Blood of the Serpent by S.M. Sterling. I didn't have any high expectations going into this book, but I really enjoyed it because it's Conan, and it was just a lot of fun. And Sterling gave us a prequel to the Robert E. Howard story, Red Nails. So if you're familiar at all with Howard's work and you're familiar with Red Nails, then you will even get even more enjoyment out of this, I believe, because you'll be familiar with the setting and the characters enough so that you know how Conan meets a certain character that he then has an adventure with later in Red Nails. And so it was pretty cool. There's a lot of neat stuff going on here, and a lot of action. You know, it is very Conanish, and I think Sterling captured the spirit of what Howard was doing with Conan. And so, moving on, I also finished my reread of A Sail by Ian C. Esselmont, the sixth and final novel in the novels of the Malazan Empire, and the final novel in the whole like 16 book saga, I guess, that includes the Malazan Book of the Fallen by Erickson and the six novels by Esselmont. And what a beautiful, excellent capstone to the whole series. I loved it. Uh, Esselmont really knocks it out of the park with the final three books in this series. They are fantastic, and this was no exception. Uh, really great stuff. Really great stuff. Really glad I reread all the books, and out of those main 16, and um, really glad I reread the Esselmont stuff too, because it really, second time around, just really everything really hits you. It really comes together so beautifully. What an achievement, that just having that kind of a series under your belt like that is just incredible. I can't. I thinking about it just makes me my mind blown. Mind blown. All right. I also managed to finish off the complete collection here of the Saga of the Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, and we're doing this as a read along on page doing, and this was yeah, over the past 6 months or so, we've tackled each volume of the six volumes in here, and it was interesting. It's not my favorite work by Moore. There's a lot of stuff tied up in here into the main DC universe that makes it a little clunky sometimes. I think the crossovers and stuff like that. But when Alan Moore was able to really separate it out and make it his own thing, is when it got a little more solid and better, I think. But on the other hand, it was kind of fun seeing some of those characters, but from the DC universe. But also, uh, not my favorite more, but it was still great. It was still fun to read, and I'm glad we took the plunge to get into that as well. So let's see. Short story time. I read from Swords and Dark Magic Collection, the new Sword and Sorcery. I read a story called In the Stacks by Scott Lynch. Interestingly enough, a story about a library that's kind of magical. That's where I heard that before. Yeah, it was interesting reading this. I'm not sure how long ago this was written, but it was it was just this library. But there was a story about these students who had to go into this library and survive in order to pass the grade, I guess. And so it was interesting. It was a fun little jaunt. You know, it wasn't the greatest story in this collection, but it was fun. It was pretty cool, and it was and had a few little fun things about library nomenclature, I guess you would say, that he really played around with, and so it was a interesting, fun story, and I liked it. I also finished another tale out of Chinese myths and folk tales, and this one was called um, "The Fighting Quails," and it was about this guy who finds this quail who's I guess in China they fight quails instead of roosters, and so he found this prize quail and he was making some money off of it and stuff like that, and finally this really rich guy offers to buy to buy the thing off of him, and he has to negotiate. And finally he negotiated a great price, went back home, paid all his bills, lived happily ever after. Really, why the why this certain quail he had was so good at fighting, not really explained. I mean, it's a little 4 or 5 page, uh, folktale, uh, but it was entertaining nonetheless. Um, the short story I read out of Tales Before Tolkien, The Roots of Modern Fantasy, was a story by L. Frank Baum, the he of the Wizard of Oz fame. So that was very entertaining. It was a story called The Enchanted Buffalo, and it was came out in like 1905, and it was really cool because it was about the days of the buffaloes. It was basically ancient uh, North American mythology with these buffaloes who were, um, the kind of mythological. They were like buffalo gods, and they had kings of their royal tribes, and there was it was a classic tale of usurpation of the buffalo throne, and then a prince being run off young, kind of like the Lion King, prince being run off young and then coming back and returning and getting his throne back. So it was pretty cool, very neat, very interesting look at Frank Baum's writing outside of the Wizard of Oz, and so I really enjoyed that story from this collection. And wow, what else we got? Of course, I'm also continuing to read short stories from the Big Book of Science Fiction for the podcast Speculative Speculations. So check that out as well. And all right, what am I in the middle of right now? What is active on my reading list? The um, Dark Horse has continued the Assassin's Apprentice adaptation, Assassin's Apprentice 3, and thus I have been continuing my read along with the comic of Assassin's Apprentice, Book 1 in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. And so that will be ongoing as I get the new comics month to month. I am also back into the Wars of Light and Shadow with, excuse me, Jenny Wirth's Storm Fortress. Speaking of Jenny Wirth's, I need a drink of coffee from a Jenny Wirth's artwork mug. Isn't that nice? All right. Yes, Storm Fortress by Janie Wirtz. 5 chapters in there, and loving this. It actually, the action is picks up right where Trader's not left off, and it's riveting action and fantastic, uh, luxurious literary prose that's just second to none, really. So Storm Fortress by Jenny Wirtz. I'm really enjoying that. I'm in the middle of that read along on page chewing. And I am also in the middle of Parable of the Talents, the sequel to Parable of the Sower. So I'm about 100 pages into that, and really enjoying this as it picks up where the first book left off about 5 years later or so, and really enjoying this. So we're reading this as part of Speculative Speculations as well, and so we'll be continuing on with that. It's really outstanding stuff. Also, I'm reading from my self-published book right now. I'm reading Weird Gods by Susanna Imaginario, friend of the page doing. And so I am about 70% through that one right now. And it's pretty cool. I'm having a good time with it. It has to deal with a mishmash of mythologies, and all these mythologies are on they're getting combined into Niflheim for maybe nefarious reasons. I'm not sure. It's complicated, but she has the Olympians, the Norse gods, and even an Egyptian god sprinkled in there, and a couple of mentions of some other mythologies. And so it's just this strange retelling of some kind of myth. I'm not sure exactly what, but it there's a lot of mystery involved in this story. So it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it, and so that's what I'm in the middle of reading right now. Pretty soon, I will be starting on a reread of Stephen Donaldson's Reeve the Just and Other Tales. I'm going to be reading these short stories out of here as part of my short story um, side hustle, short fiction side hustle, yeah. And so I'm looking forward to that. For the sci-fi masterwork of the month, this month, I'll be reading Kurt Vonnegut's The Sirens of Titan. I really like Slaughterhouse-Five by Vonnegut, so I'm looking forward to reading something else by him that I haven't ever got to. And as part of the literary side hustle for page chewing, you probably can't make anything out there. But this is a really old, beat up copy of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Classic. So I'll be getting into that pretty soon as well. All right, and I'm sure there'll be something else coming down the pipeline, but that is my update for this month. And let me know. Let me know what you got on your docket. And with all that said, please be good to each other, and thank you.